The station was supposed to be silent. Commander Elias Rowe had checked the security board 3 times already, even though he knew it would not change. Every corridor light showed red. Every hatch was sealed. Every name on the crew list was marked as stationary. The outpost was in full lockdown, the kind that only happened during drills or disasters, and this time it was not a drill. Outside the wide observation window, the dead star hung in space like a burned-out eye. No light, no warmth, just gravity and darkness. The station orbited it slowly, metal and human life circling something that had already died long before Earth learned how to fly. Rowe leaned back in his chair and let out a slow breath. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago. The security room smelled faintly of plastic and recycled air. The hum of the systems was steady. Calm, almost comforting. Too comforting. "AI," he said, keeping his voice low even though he was alone. "Confirm lockdown status." "Lockdown is active," the station AI replied in its neutral tone. "All personnel are in assigned safe locations. No movement detected." Rowe nodded. That matched what he saw. 37 crew members, scientists, engineers, medics, all accounted for. No outside traffic, no incoming ships, no reason for trouble. And yet his instincts would not settle. Rowe had served 22 years in human space forces before taking this command. He had learned that danger did not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it came quietly, wearing the shape of normal. He rubbed his eyes and stood, stretching his shoulders. The security room door was behind him, thick and reinforced. Nothing short of explosives could open it from the outside. That was when the knock came. One knock, not loud, not rushed, just a single calm tap against the door. Rowe froze. His first thought was that he had imagined it. Space stations made sounds, metal expanded and contracted, systems shifted, but this had been clear, human, intentional. He slowly turned toward the door. "AI," he said. "Did you detect that?" There was a short pause. Too short. "Negative," the AI replied. "No external interaction detected." Rowe's pulse quickened. "Confirm no personnel movement." "Confirmed. All personnel remain in assigned locations." He stared at the door. The knock echoed in his memory. One knock meant confidence. Someone who knew they would be answered. His hand moved toward the sidearm on his belt without him thinking about it. "Who's there?" he called. Silence. Rowe took a step closer to the door. The corridor camera feed appeared on the wall screen at his gesture. The hallway outside was empty, lights dimmed to emergency red. No motion, no heat signatures. Then the handle turned. Rowe drew his weapon fully now. "Stop," he ordered. The door opened anyway. She stepped inside as if she belonged there. She was human. That was the first thing he noticed. Not because she looked familiar, but because there was something unmistakable about her posture, the way she carried herself. Not military, but not civilian either. Her dark jacket was scuffed and torn at the edges, like it had seen too many places and not enough rest. Her hair was pulled back quickly, uneven, as if she had done it in a hurry. She looked tired. Not weak tired. Focused tired. Her eyes met his immediately, sharp and alert, taking in the room, the weapon, the screens. She closed the door behind her with one hand. "Lock the door behind me," she said. Her voice was calm, not demanding, certain. Rowe did not move. "That's not funny," he said. "Identify yourself." She took a step forward, slow, careful, as if she knew exactly how much space to give him. "You can ask questions after you lock the door." "You're already inside," Rowe said. "Why would—" "Because whatever is about to happen," she interrupted gently, "is already happening. And that door is the last honest barrier you have." Rowe hesitated. Every training lesson screamed at him not to follow unknown orders, but every instinct screamed louder that this woman was not lying. He glanced at the screen again. No alarms, no alerts, Nothing. His hand reached out and tapped the control panel. The lock engaged with a deep mechanical sound. The woman exhaled just slightly, as if she had been holding her breath. "Thank you," she said. Roe lowered his weapon a few centimeters, but did not holster it. "Start talking, now." She nodded. "My name is Mara Cade. I am not on your crew list because this version of me was never assigned here." "That makes no sense." "It will," she replied. "Later." Roe frowned. "How did you get in here?" "I walked," she said simply. "That door was sealed." She shrugged. "It usually is." Roe felt a chill crawl up his spine. "AI," he said sharply. "Why didn't you flag her?" The AI responded immediately. "Commander, no unknown individual is present in the security room." Roe turned his head slowly toward the ceiling speaker. "She is standing in front of me." "Commander," the AI replied, unchanged. "There is no one standing in front of you." Roe's grip tightened on his weapon. He looked back at Mara. She met his gaze steadily. "I don't exist to the system," she said. "That's on purpose." "That's impossible," Roe said. She smiled faintly. "Humans used to say that about leaving Earth." Roe stared at her for a long moment. Then he deactivated his weapon and set it carefully on the desk. "Explain," he said. Mara moved to the side of the room, leaning against the console as if she had been there before. "Your station is listed as a deep space research outpost. Officially, you study stellar remains and gravity behavior." "That's correct," Roe said. "It's also a test," she said. "Unofficially." Roe's eyes narrowed. "Test for what?" "For how long humanity can pretend to be harmless," Mara said. Silence filled the room again, thicker this time. Roe crossed his arms. "You're saying a lot without saying anything." She nodded. "That's because saying the wrong thing too early gets people killed." That earned his attention. "Killed by who?" "By allies," she replied. Roe let out a short laugh. "We don't have enemies out here." Mara straightened. "That's what scares them." She stepped closer to the main screen and tapped a command. The display flickered, then showed a star map. Several unfamiliar symbols appeared at the edge of human-controlled space. "These are coalition observation fleets," she said. "Officially, they are here for cooperation and balance." "And unofficially?" Roe asked. "They are watching you," she said. "Waiting for a reason." Roe studied the map. "Waiting for what kind of reason?" "For proof that humans can't be trusted with equal power," Mara said. "Or for proof that humans are already too dangerous to stop later." Roe felt his stomach tighten. "You're saying they're planning something?" "They already have," she said quietly. Roe looked back at her. "Then why hasn't Command warned us?" "Because Command hasn't been warned yet," Mara replied. "In your time." Roe closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his voice was steady but low. "You said this version of you." "Yes." "You're saying you're from the future?" "Yes." He shook his head slowly. "That's not possible." She met his gaze again. It wasn't. Until humans made it possible. Roe leaned back against the desk, trying to steady his thoughts. He had seen strange things in space, but this pushed against the edge of reason. "Why me?" he asked. "Because you listen before you decide," Mara said, "and because you're alone in this room when the knock happens." Roe glanced at the door again. The solid metal seemed suddenly thin. "What happens next?" he asked. Mara's expression hardened, just a little. "In less than an hour, this station will be boarded." Roe straightened. "By who?" She paused. "By people who smile at humans in meetings and fear them in private." Roe looked back at the star map. "And if I don't believe you?" She smiled sadly. "Then you'll die confused." Silence stretched between them. Outside, the dead star burned with no light at all. Ro finally spoke. "What do you need from me?" Mara's eyes flicked to the locked door. "I needed you to listen," she said. "Now I need you to choose." Ro did not answer right away. He looked at the locked door, then at the screens, then back at the woman who claimed to come from a future that should not exist. His mind wanted to reject her words, but his body had already accepted the danger. His heart was beating faster, not from fear, but from readiness. "Choose what?" he asked. Mara walked closer to the main console and rested her hands on its edge. "Choose whether humanity stays polite," she said, "or finally honest." Ro frowned. "You speak like this is bigger than one station." "It is," she replied. "This station is only the first move." Ro activated a secure channel on his console. "AI, give me a full external scan. Deep scan. Ignore standard filters." "Commander," the AI replied. "Such scans require—" "Override," Ro said. There was a pause, longer this time. The lights dimmed slightly as power shifted. "Scanning," the AI said. Mara watched the screens carefully. "They are already close," she said. Ro glanced at her. "If they're boarding, why no alarms?" "Because they don't want panic," Mara said. "They want control." The scan results appeared slowly, layer by layer. At first, nothing unusual. Empty space, radiation noise. Then faint shapes began to form near the outer edge of the display. Ro leaned forward. "Those are ships." "Yes," Mara said. "Not human." Ro counted quickly, more than he liked. "They're using stealth." "Advanced," Mara replied. "Designed to avoid species that rely on rules." Ro's jaw tightened. "We rely on rules." Mara looked at him. "You rely on people." The AI spoke again. "Unidentified vessels detected. No hostile action registered." Ro let out a breath. "They're already here." "Yes," Mara said. "And they think you don't know." Ro straightened. "Then let's keep it that way." He moved quickly now, fingers flying over the console as he activated internal systems. "AI, seal all internal sections. Quiet mode." "Confirmed," the AI replied. Crew movement indicators locked fully. The station became a maze of sealed corridors and sleeping systems. Mara nodded in approval. "Good. Confusion is useful." Ro turned to her. "You said this station isn't what it seems." "It is," she said. "And it isn't." She tapped a sequence on the console that Ro knew should not work. Hidden menus appeared. His eyes widened. "These are classified," he said. "They're forgotten," Mara replied. "There's a difference." She opened a file. The station's design shifted on the screen. Hidden layers appeared beneath the visible structure, reinforced sections, power lines that did not match the public schematics. Ro stared. "This is a fortress." "It's a question," Mara corrected. "One the galaxy has been asking for a long time." Ro shook his head slowly. "Command told us this place was for science." "It is," she said. "The science of reaction." The AI interrupted. "Commander, unidentified vessels are matching orbit." Ro's eyes flicked to the timer. Less than 40 minutes. "What happens in your future?" he asked quietly. Mara hesitated. "In most versions," she said, "humanity dies slowly, not in fire, in limits, treaties, restrictions, gentle cages. And in the version you came from," Mara met his gaze, "humanity scares them." Ro let that sink in. He had fought enemies before, but this was different. These were not invaders screaming across space. They were watchers, judges. "How do we scare them?" he asked. Mara smiled faintly. "By being human." The first sign of boarding came as a soft vibration through the deck. Not an explosion, a precise cut. Someone slicing into the station like a surgeon. Ro felt it through his boots. "They're inside," Yes, Mara said. Small teams. Quiet. They'll head for control and communication first. Then they're coming here, Ro said. Eventually, she replied, unless we move first. Ro turned to the weapons control panel, then stopped. No, he said slowly. If we fire, we confirm their fear. Mara nodded. Exactly. So what do? We let them think they're winning, she said. Ro took a breath and made his decision. AI, he said. Open internal monitoring to me only. No alerts. Confirmed. The screen showed ghost-like figures moving through corridors, tall shapes, long limbs. Their movement was careful, trained, not monsters, professionals. They look almost fragile, Ro said. They are, Mara replied. That's why they plan. Ro watched as one team reached an access junction and paused, confused by the sealed paths. They didn't expect this, he said. They expect obedience, Mara answered. Ro activated another hidden system. The station hummed softly, almost like it was waking up. What is that? He asked. The part they never believed humans would build, Mara said. Because it doesn't make sense to them. The boarding teams began to split, trying different routes. Each time the station adjusted, corridors shifted, gravity changed slightly, lights flickered. Ro frowned. This feels like a maze. It is, Mara said, one designed by humans who got bored of straight lines. The AI spoke again. Multiple intruders detected, no casualties. Ro smiled slightly. Good. Minutes passed. The intruders slowed. Their movements became uncertain. They're talking to each other, Ro said, reading the subtle delays. Arguing. They don't like surprises, Mara replied. Ro leaned back. You said no one dies. Yes. But they learn, he said. Yes. The station trembled again, stronger this time. They're trying another entry, Ro said. Let them, Mara said calmly. Ro looked at her. You seem very sure. I've seen this, she said. In many versions. This is the first time it goes this quietly. The AI interrupted again. Commander, external communication request detected. Coalition frequency. Ro and Mara exchanged a look. They want to talk, Ro said. Of course they do, Mara replied. They always talk when they lose control. Ro accepted the channel. A calm, translated voice filled the room. Human Station Commander, this is a coalition security operation. Please remain calm and comply. Ro kept his voice even. You boarded my station without permission. We detected potential risk, the voice replied. This is for mutual safety. Ro glanced at Mara, then back to the screen. You could have asked. There was a pause. Humans do not always answer, the voice said. Ro smiled. Neither do you. Silence followed. Mara leaned closer. This is the moment, she whispered. Ro understood. AI, he said quietly. Begin demonstration. Confirmed, the AI replied. Across the station, systems changed. Doors opened and closed in perfect timing. Lights shifted. Gravity rotated gently. The intruders were guided, not trapped. Shown paths. Led away from vital systems without force. On the screen, the alien figures stopped moving. The coalition voice returned, sharper now. Explain this behavior. Ro stood tall. You wanted to see what humans are capable of, he said. This is us being polite. The channel went silent. Ro exhaled slowly. His hands were steady. Mara watched him, eyes thoughtful. You chose well, she said. This isn't over, Ro replied. No, she agreed. It's just begun. Outside the station, the dead star continued to circle, silent and dark, as the galaxy took its first careful step back from humanity. The silence after the transmission felt heavier than any explosion. Ro stood still, listening to the quiet hum of the station. The coalition channel remained open, but no one spoke. The intruders inside the station had stopped moving. Their icons on the internal map were frozen, clustered in small groups, as if they were waiting for permission to breathe. "They're afraid now," Mara said softly. Ro did not smile. "They should be cautious," he replied. "Fear makes people careless." "Not them," Mara said. "Fear makes them calculate." Ro looked at the screen again. "Then what's their next move?" "They'll ask for proof," she said. "They always do." As if on cue, the coalition channel flickered back to life. "Human Commander," the translated voice said, smoother than before. "Your station is displaying behavior not listed in shared technology agreements." Ro folded his hands behind his back. "You boarded my station without agreement." "We detected risk," the voice repeated. "We are responsible for balance." Ro's eyes hardened. Balance for who? There was a pause. Then, for all. Mara stepped closer to the console, her eyes sharp. "They never say equal," she whispered. Ro nodded slightly. "Then let's be clear." He leaned toward the mic. "You entered without consent. You attempted control, and now you are inside a system you don't understand." "That is why we are speaking," the voice replied. "To prevent escalation." Ro almost laughed. "Escalation ended the moment you decided humans needed supervision." Another pause. Longer this time. Inside the station, one of the intruder teams moved again, slowly testing a corridor. The floor tilted just enough to force them to stop. "They're learning," Ro said. "They're measuring," Mara corrected. Ro turned to her. "What happens if they decide to force their way out?" "They can't," she said. "Not without admitting something they've tried to hide for centuries." Ro raised an eyebrow. "Which is?" "That they are not in control," Mara said. The coalition voice returned, sharper now. "Human Commander, we request access to your core systems for verification." Ro shook his head. "Denied. This refusal will be noted." "Good," Ro said calmly. "So will your invasion." Silence again. Ro leaned back against the console, feeling the weight of what was happening. This was not a battle of weapons. It was a battle of perception. Whoever blinked first would lose more than ships. "Why now?" Ro asked quietly, turning to Mara. "Why did they move today?" "Because humanity crossed an invisible line," she said. "Not with power, with ideas." Ro frowned. "Explain." "Humans adapt faster than they predict," Mara said. "You don't just learn technology. You change how you use it, you mix it, you break patterns." Ro thought of the station's hidden systems. "They fear creativity. They fear initiative," Mara replied. "Most species wait for permission. Humans act and apologize later." Ro let out a breath. "So what's the next step in your future?" Mara hesitated. "That depends on what you do next." Ro looked back at the intruder's frozen icons. "I don't want blood." "Neither do they," Mara said. "They want obedience." Ro straightened. "Then they won't get either." He turned to the AI. "Begin phase 2. "Confirmed," the AI replied. Across the station, the environment shifted again. The intruders felt gravity lighten, then return. Walls displayed faint lights, forming symbols they did not recognize. Not warnings, messages. "They can read that?" Ro asked. "No," Mara said. "But they understand meaning." The symbols showed timelines, stars forming, civilizations rising and fading. Then a single line continued forward, branching, changing shape. "That's us," Ro said softly. "Yes," Mara replied. "Humanity refuses to stay in one shape." The coalition channel activated again. Urgency, clear in the voice. "What is the purpose of this display?" Ro answered calmly. "Education." "This is not appropriate." Ro smiled. "Neither was boarding my station." The voice paused. "You are making a mistake." Ro shook his head. "No, you are." Mara watched him closely. This was the moment she remembered from her past and future. The moment where humanity stopped trying to be smaller. Inside the station, one intruder lowered themselves slowly to the floor, a universal sign of caution. "They're signaling," Ro said. "They're asking for dialogue on equal ground," Mara said. Ro nodded. "Open a channel to their team leaders, local only." "Confirmed," the AI replied. A new channel opened. The image that appeared was not threatening. The alien figure looked tired, its posture less rigid than before. "You control this environment completely," the alien said. "Yes," Ro replied, "without harming you." "Why?" Ro answered honestly. "Because we don't need to hurt you to prove a point." The alien tilted its head. "You could." "Yes." "Then why not?" Ro paused. "Because that's not who we are." Mara felt something tighten in her chest. This was the version she hoped for. The alien studied Ro. "Your species is dangerous." Ro nodded. "So are children. That doesn't mean you lock them in cages." The alien looked away briefly. "You act without permission." Ro smiled faintly. "That's how we survived." The alien took a long breath. "What do you want?" Ro answered without hesitation. "Respect, transparency, no more secret tests." "And if the coalition refuses?" Ro's eyes hardened. "Then we stop pretending not to notice." Silence stretched again. The alien finally spoke. "This will change many things." Ro nodded. "It already has." The channel closed. Inside the station, the intruder icons began moving again, but this time toward exit points the station provided. "They're leaving," Ro said. "For now," Mara replied. Ro turned to her. "What happens to you?" Mara smiled sadly. "Soon, I stop existing here." Ro frowned. "Because you change things?" "Yes," she said. "That's the risk of stepping back into the past." Ro looked at her carefully. "Was it worth it?" Mara met his gaze. "Ask me again when the future feels less afraid." The station returned slowly to normal operation. Systems relaxed. Gravity stabilized. The hum softened. Outside, the coalition ships disengaged from orbit, slipping back into the dark. Ro watched them go. "This won't be the last time." "No," Mara said, "but it will be remembered." Ro turned to her. "What do I tell Command?" "The truth," she said, "that humans were tested and responded." Ro nodded. "They won't like it." "They don't have to," Mara replied. "They just have to stand by it." A faint shimmer passed over Mara's form. Ro noticed it instantly. "You're fading," he said. She nodded. "Timeline is correcting." Ro felt an unexpected weight in his chest. "Will I remember you?" Mara smiled gently. "Enough." The shimmer grew stronger. Her outline blurred. "Commander," the AI said, "anomaly detected." Ro ignored it. "Thank you," he said quietly. Mara's voice was already fading. "Thank you for choosing." Then she was gone. The room felt emptier than before. Ro stood alone in the security room, the locked door still behind him. Outside, the galaxy had shifted just a little. He unlocked the door and stepped forward, knowing one thing with certainty: humanity would never be unseen again. The station felt different after Mara disappeared. Commander Elias Ro could not explain it clearly, but the silence had changed. Before, it had been the quiet of waiting. Now it was the quiet after a decision had been made. Systems were stable, lights were normal, and the crew remained safe in their sealed sections, unaware of how close history had come to bending the other way. Ro stood alone in the security room for a long time. The door was unlocked, but he did not leave yet. His reflection stared back at him from the dark screen, older than it had been a few hours ago. AI, he said softly. Record a full incident log, priority command channel. Confirmed, the AI replied. How would you like to classify the event? Rowe thought for a moment. First contact review, he said. Unauthorized coalition action. There was a short pause. Classification accepted, the AI said. Rowe nodded. Begin playback from external detection to departure. As the AI compiled the data, Rowe's thoughts drifted. He replayed Mara's words in his mind. Humanity scares them. He had never thought of humans that way. Dangerous, yes. Capable, yes. But feared, that was new. The station chimed softly. Internal communications reopened as lockdown restrictions lifted. Commander? A voice came through his wrist console. It was Chief Engineer Talvek. Systems show we're clear. What happened? Rowe straightened. Stand by, he said. I'll brief senior staff shortly. For now, keep crews in safe zones. Yes, sir, Talvek replied, clearly confused. Rowe ended the call and looked back at the screen. The AI finished compiling the report. Send, Rowe said. The data packet vanished into the deep space relay, heading toward human command. Rowe exhaled slowly. There was no taking this back now. Minutes passed before the reply came. Not a message, but a priority request for live communication. Rowe accepted. The face that appeared on the screen was Admiral Keen, Human Fleet Command. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Commander Rowe, she said, your report is unexpected. I imagine it would be, Rowe replied evenly. You're claiming coalition forces boarded your station without consent, she said. And then withdrew. Yes. And you're also claiming you neutralized them without force. Yes. Keen leaned back slightly. That's a serious accusation. Rowe met her gaze. So is sending observers to quietly test an ally. Silence hung between them. Finally, Keen spoke. We've been receiving subtle pressure from the coalition for months. Requests, restrictions, suggestions. Rowe nodded. They're afraid. Keen raised an eyebrow. Of what? Of what humans might do if treated as equals, Rowe said. Keen studied him for a long moment. You sound very certain. Rowe chose his words carefully. They believe control is safety. Humans believe choice is survival. Keen was quiet again. Then she said, You understand this will escalate? Yes, Rowe replied. But it was already escalating, just quietly. Keen sighed. The coalition will demand explanations. They already got one, Rowe said. We are not helpless, and we are not blind. Keen's lips pressed into a thin line. Some will argue you went too far. Rowe shook his head. I didn't go far enough to harm anyone. I went far enough to be clear. Keen gave a small, humorless smile. That might be the most human answer you could give. The call ended shortly after. No praise, no punishment, just acknowledgement. Rowe stood alone again. Across the station, crews were released from lockdown. Confused voices filled the internal channels. People asked questions. Engineers checked systems. Scientists returned to their work, unaware that their quiet outpost had just become a symbol. Rowe walked out of the security room at last. The corridor lights were bright, normal. The station smelled like coffee and metal and recycled air again. Chief Engineer Talvek met him halfway down the hall. Sir, Talvek said, external scans show coalition ships fully disengaged. No pursuit. Good, Rowe said. Talvek hesitated. Commander, were we in danger? Rowe met his eyes. Yes, he said honestly, but not the kind that explodes. Talvek frowned. What kind then? The kind that slowly decides who you're allowed to be, Rowe replied. Talvek nodded slowly. Glad you were on duty? Rowe allowed himself a small smile. Me too. Hours passed. The station returned fully to routine. But Rowe knew the routine was an illusion now. Somewhere beyond the dead star, decisions were being rewritten. Far away, in a coalition council chamber, voices rose in controlled debate. The human demonstration had shaken assumptions that had stood for generations. Humans had not attacked. They had not submitted. They had acted with calm confidence and restraint. That unsettled them more than violence ever could. One council member spoke softly. If they can do this quietly, what else have they chosen not to show us? Another replied, perhaps they are more dangerous than we calculated. A third said, or perhaps they are more responsible. The room fell silent. Back on the station, Rowe sat alone in his quarters, staring at the small viewport. The dead star drifted past, silent and unmoving. You chose well, Mara's voice echoed faintly in his memory. Rowe closed his eyes briefly. I hope so. The AI interrupted gently. Commander, encrypted message incoming. Coalition origin. Rowe opened his eyes. Put it through. The message was text only. No voice, no image. The incident at your station will be reviewed. Future observation protocols are suspended pending reassessment. Rowe read it twice. That's it? He asked. That is the full message, the AI confirmed. Rowe leaned back. They're backing off. For now, the AI replied. Rowe smiled faintly. That seems to be the theme. Days passed. News spread quietly through human channels. Not the full truth, but enough. Whispers of a station that had been tested and had not failed. Whispers of humans refusing to be managed. Other outposts received subtle changes in protocol, more autonomy, fewer quiet inspections. The coalition grew cautious. In one possible future, humanity would have apologized and accepted new limits. In this one, humanity had stayed polite, but firm. One night cycle later, Rowe returned to the security room. He stood in front of the door where it had all begun. He placed his hand against the metal. One knock, he thought. Such a small sound, such a large change. AI, he said. If an anomaly like Mara appears again, tell me. Yes, Commander, the AI replied. Rowe nodded and turned away. Far beyond the station, beyond the dead star, beyond the quiet borders of human space, the galaxy adjusted its expectations. Humans were no longer just participants. They were variables. And for the first time in a very long time, the galaxy was unsure what would happen next. Time moved forward, but it did not move the same way anymore. Commander Elias Rowe felt it in small things first. Messages from command came with fewer instructions and more questions. Coalition communications, once frequent and carefully worded, became rare and cautious. Patrol routes near human space quietly shifted outward. Observation stations changed their angles. The galaxy was giving humanity room. Rowe stood in the observation deck, hands behind his back, watching the dead star slide past the viewport. It was still dark, still silent, but it no longer felt empty. The station had become known, even if no one spoke its name aloud, a place where something important had happened without a single shot fired, a place where humans had not asked permission to exist as they were. Commander, the AI said softly. Incoming priority transmission. Coalition Council. Rowe did not turn right away. Audio only, he said after a moment. Confirmed. A calm voice filled the room, layered with translation. Older than the others he had heard before, more careful. Commander Rowe, we thank you for accepting this channel. Rowe faced the viewport. You didn't ask last time? A pause. Then, that has been noted. Rowe said nothing. We have concluded our internal review, the voice continued. The actions taken at your station were misjudged. Rowe raised an eyebrow slightly. That's one word for it. Another pause. We acknowledge that humanity was treated as a potential risk instead of a partner. Rowe turned slowly now, facing the empty air where the voice seemed to exist. And that approach has proven ineffective, the voice said. Rowe waited. The coalition wishes to renegotiate observation protocols, the voice continued, with full transparency, no covert testing. Rowe folded his arms. That's a big change. Yes, the voice agreed. It is not easy for us. Rowe nodded once. It wasn't easy for us either. Silence followed. Not tense this time, thoughtful. Commander, the voice said, your species does not behave as expected. Rowe smiled faintly. We've been told. You show restraint where aggression was predicted, the voice said, and initiative where compliance was assumed. That's called being human, Rowe replied. Another pause. Then, we are beginning to understand that. The channel closed gently without threats or warnings. Rowe exhaled and looked back at the star. Somewhere far beyond this system, decisions were changing, slowly, carefully, but they were changing. Days later, a sealed message arrived through a channel Rowe had never seen before. Human origin, no signature. The message contained only a few lines. Timeline stabilized. Your choice mattered. Humanity remains unpredictable. Good. Rowe read it twice. He did not ask the AI to trace it. He already knew who it was from, or who it had once been. That night, he dreamed of a knock. One calm knock on a door that should never have been touched. And in the dream, he did not hesitate. Weeks passed. Then months. The station remained quiet, but its purpose had shifted. Scientists continued their work, but new systems were quietly installed. Not weapons, tools, safeguards, options. Humanity was not preparing for war. Humanity was preparing to choose. Other species noticed. In distant systems, coalition analysts argued late into their rest cycles. Humans did not expand the way others had. They did not dominate space through numbers or fear. They adapted environments instead of forcing them. They bent systems instead of breaking them. Most unsettling of all, they did not act like they had something to prove. They acted like they already knew who they were. Rowe received a promotion offer 6 months later. A desk, a fleet coordination role, influence. He declined. Instead, he requested transfer to another quiet outpost, farther out. Another place where nothing was supposed to happen. Command approved it without argument. Before leaving, Rowe walked the station one last time, past the labs, past the crew quarters, past the security room. He stopped at the door. The same door. He placed his hand on it and closed his eyes for a moment. AI, he said quietly. Status check. All systems normal, the AI replied. Rowe smiled. Good. He turned and walked away. Far away, the Coalition Council made an unprecedented decision. Humans were removed from the category of monitored species. They were given a new classification, independent variable, no restrictions, no hidden observers, no silent tests, just consequences. Some council members feared this choice, others respected it, none ignored it. In one possible future, humanity would have been guided, softened, shaped into something predictable. In this future, humanity remained sharp. Not cruel, not reckless, just awake. Years later, a young coalition observer would ask an elder, "Why do humans frighten us so much?" And the elder would answer, "Because they look at the unknown and see opportunity, not permission." On a small human station orbiting a dead star, life continued quietly. And somewhere in the flow of time, a woman who once knocked on a door no longer needed to, because the door was already open, and the galaxy knew better than to try closing it again.